Awesome. Yeah. All right. And so, obviously, I want this to lead to naturally to whatever offer that you have. So if you have something in line with that, Wes went to his whole ABCDE thing, and Corey, he's like, hey, Jalil's a partner over at Morrow Post, so set him up with get with him for a demo. So,
Okay, cool.
all right.
Yeah, I'll probably just drive people to Facebook and LinkedIn, and then they can go to the website and check it out if they want to see an example of one of the ad plans. Yeah.
Awesome.
We're a high-end boutique agency, and there's only two of us, and so really we can't get a whole bunch of leads because we'll blow ourselves up. So unlike Marrow Post or something where they've got a whole team, give them 400 leads today and they're going to be happy. So
gotcha.
If I got 400 leads in a day, I'd have to do a triage meeting and okay, how do we do all this in a batch in cohorts and make sure no one slips through the cracks? How do I hire 4 certified partners tomorrow? What am I training them on? That'd be fun. Okay.
It'd be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, it would.
All right.
The feed.
Sokol, right?
You got it, man.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, it's your main man, Jalil Mans, and welcome to the Marketing Velocity Podcast. This is where you get the speed and direction for the marketing that you're doing in your business. Today, I want to welcome the Jedi Knight, the master himself. I have to take a bow. Paul Sokol. I mean, this dude blew me away. Back in the day when I was an Infusionsoft partner, you talk about somebody going up on stage dressed like a Jedi, and he wasn't just perpetrating the role. I mean, Obi-Wan took me to school, and then he's going to take us to school again today.
Yep.
So Paul, take a bow to the crowd and tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Man, well, so I'm Paul Sokol. Thanks for the wonderful intro, Jalil. As you mentioned, I've been doing this business thing for quite some time. Let's see. The quick version is I kind of started doing business in middle school selling Fun Dip on the bus. I bought them for a dime at the Dollar General store and sold them for a quarter. And there you go. That was the first kind of official business. And then, I had some jobs in high school, and then in college when I went for electrical engineering, I got recruited to sell knives, Cutco knives. And so I learned how to do that and also became a sales manager, an assistant sales manager. And then I went online and started a video email company with my buddy in grad school. And that's where I got exposed to Infusionsoft in 2008. And then I worked for them directly from 2011 to 16. And that's where we met Jalil at one of the events. Yeah, we couldn't remember earlier. And then since 2016, myself and Brina McNally, she's also a former Infusionsoft employee as well. She's one of the advanced support managers. And so basically complaints department, any problems, I'll roll downhill to her team. And so she actually knows more about the software from a technical standpoint than I do, which is super cool. And so for the past 5 years, what we've been doing is designing and building customer journey automation, and then also designing and building advertising campaigns, because everybody's needs are different. And I think today we're going to go ahead and talk about that second one, because that's the so if we were these are episodes 7, 8, and 9, right? If we were talking the original movies, probably 7, 8, and 9. So it's like the next gen of what we got. But yeah, let's do a little advertising crash course, man, and keep it at the strategy level. Because I don't want to I don't want people to get wrapped up in the technicals at the bottom. Because as you were just saying earlier, it's about the fundamentals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fundamental marketing principles never go out of style.
They never do. I mean, those, the little tricks and tips and stuff, those pass, algorithm changes and stuff like that, but foundations are forever.
Yeah, they are. So I actually want to give the advertising foundation, in fact, the only foundation you need to understand advertising. It's very simple. Think of oak, like the tree, but it is OAC. And this stands for the objective, the audience, and the creative. And these are the 3 things you need to have chosen and distinct. And now you can have an advertising campaign. That's it. And then if you want to have multiple oaks or a field of oaks, that's just different multiple campaigns running. And then I guess to expand the analogy, you have your Google Oaks and your Facebook and your LinkedIn Oaks. They're all just different kinds of trees, but it's still the same. You know, you're always going to have some objective for the campaign. There's some way to choose the audience, and then the various ways that the creative can be done depending on what you're doing. So, which is based on the platform and the ad type and all that stuff. But again, don't want to get lost in those tactics, because that's the strategy. OAC. So let's talk about how to actually strategically use Oaks and place them in different parts of your business. Because advertising, usually people think of it as a marketing activity, but it's not. It is an operational thing, because you can use advertising in your marketing. You can use advertising in your sales. You can use advertising in your fulfillment, in your deep fulfillment. So I want to go ahead and talk about some advertising strategies across all three of those bits. So I guess, and feel free to break in at any time if you have any questions, Jaleel, or if you feel that, you know, there's something people might have clarity on. So let's talk about marketing advertising. And so when I think of marketing, again, 10,000, 20,000 foot, actually, what is the objective of marketing, Jaleel? What is the entire point of marketing, in your opinion?
Attention. You know, if they don't know about you, right, you're not there.
Well, that's definitely part of it. That's actually further up in the marketing. I believe that marketing, the purpose of marketing is to generate a lead for the sales process. So they absolutely have to be aware. And we still need to, if you think about like a restaurant, we need to get people in the door, so that way the servers can try and sell them stuff. And so when I think of marketing, the end of the marketing journey is when there's a lead, and then that's when the sales journey starts. It's you know, it's a transition. They blend into each other. The marketing journey becomes a sales journey. So when I think of advertising in the marketing journey, this is where you have the same top funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. However, the bottom of funnel, at least as far as social and marketing is concerned, in my opinion, is when they become a lead or leave the platform to go do something else. So if they're filling out a lead ad on Facebook directly, yeah, they're in your sales process now. They're no longer, the marketing is done. Or if you know, we're running traffic and trying to get them to your website, okay, cool. As soon as they hit your page, whether they did whatever they were supposed to or not, that's bottom of the funnel. You're trying to get them to convert. So when you're using advertising in your marketing, make sure that it's strategically aligned with your business goals, and then also what part of the funnel people are in, which is usually related to their level of awareness. So the very top of funnel for, and we'll just stick to Facebook to keep it simple. The very top of the funnel is all the awareness stuff. So this is where objective wise, you can actually have an ad for reach, where you're literally just paying to get in front of people. You can have an ad for page followers, building your audience. That's a top of funnel thing. You can also, depending on the audience selection, if you're doing a video view campaign or a post engagement objective, if you're doing it to a cold audience, well, this is now top of funnel, right? It's top of funnel ads, which most likely will never be directly driving sales. You can maybe look at the attribution of it, but it's top of funnel. It's like paying for flyers to get people to a show. Like, it's getting the awareness, but there's still some more to do. And then looking at the middle of the funnel, usually this is where there's the conversation is happening. So this is where you're boosting videos, you're boosting posts, maybe you're having like some messaging ads, possibly, maybe that's a conversion thing, depending on your strategy. Like, why are you doing it? So like, maybe you're only boosting posts to your page engagers. So you're just kind of keeping that warm audience here. But maybe you're doing that because you have a bottom funnel campaign where the audience is the page engagers, but you're asking them to opt in, or you're asking them to become a lead or something like that. And so right there, that's an example, like 3 oaks you could have just for top of funnel and marketing. And then you can have a lot of them, horizontally here. You could be boosting a post you can boost the same post to 5 different audiences. I've got a client right now, we're boosting to 3 main audiences. We're boosting to his lookalikes, some smaller interests, and then larger interests with like, tens of millions. And that's just what he's doing to build awareness. And then he's remarketing to people that have engaged with that to opt into his lead magnet. And actually, that's what we did when we started. This month, we actually moved it up the stream because we know that the interests are working. We're now just running the lead ad directly to those cold interests. And we actually flipped a lead yesterday. They turned on, so they should get better with time. So,
so what are your thoughts, Paul, on, I've run into people who don't really follow that Facebook methodology, right? So you've got that, that first section where you're doing reach and awareness, then engagement, and then conversion. What do you say to people who are just kind of running like that one objective, and they're not trying to warm up an audience with awareness or trying to get engagement, but maybe they're just going straight for the sale? Do you have any thoughts on that?
You can do it. It's not going to be particularly sustainable. I don't believe you're building any lasting relationships that way, or at least it would be really hard to do. It is social media at the end of the day. So like, yeah, you can run in there and throw dollars to buy customers, but you're probably going to get a much cheaper customer if you build a relationship with them for a little bit and then run a sale at them.
Yeah.
It's just like the dating analogy, and I think that's what I would say to these people. They just run in there and they want to sell. It's like, hey man, you just ran into the bar and asked every woman to marry you. First of all, it's not going to work. Second of all, if it does work, that woman's going to be nuts. That person's going to be nuts. It's 2021. Who knows? Who cares? You love who you love.
Yeah.
But it's like that. And so, to me, those people are kind of one-trick pony-ish, or it's more of a hobbyist advertising, where I'm an actual advertiser. I consider myself a professional marketer, businessman, not just marketer. In that I really do academically study this stuff. Like, I am genuinely passionate about it, and I love it, and it's super interesting to me. And so I'm always learning. I'm always a student of this kind of stuff. Actually, disciple is the word that I need to start using again, because it's actually it's almost a perfect word, because there's a definition of it where it's somebody who's just as passionate about learning as they are about teaching, and that's me. Like, whenever I find something cool, like, I want to share it with all my peeps, and so that's why I love doing podcasts. And I thank you for inviting me. I love sharing this kind of stuff, especially keep it at high level and not so ground level. If anything, maybe we do a part 2 and we'll do some ground level stuff on like creative strategies, or audience tactics. Actually,
anytime you're ready.
Right, foundations, right? So here's the second foundation. The first one is OAC. The second one is the audience types. Remember I said there's only 4 types of audiences you could ever have, Jaleel?
Yep, you did.
Here they are. And it's really simple if you think about it. You can either have your own audiences where you own the data. It's your email list, your web traffic, your phone number, whatever. You have the platform-owned audiences. So this is your page likers, your video viewers. You do not own that. That is Facebook. They own that. And then you have your related audiences. So this is where you can get things like lookalikes or similar audiences, depending on what platform you're on. And then this is also where I would put like competition and things like that too. So if you were directly targeting the competition, I'd consider that a related audience.
Right.
Internally, we would call that a Class B audience, just to help us, do that. And then the fourth type of audience is a data-driven audience. We would call this a Class C audience internally. And this is where you're saying, all right, I want people that like East Coast hip hop, and they've clicked on a shop now link in the past week, and they have a birthday coming up in a month. Whenever you're
Yeah,
a data-driven audience like that, you really do want to kind of slice it by more than one dimension. Talking about marketing, marketing velocity. What is velocity? It's speed and direction, right?
that's
When
right.
you're thinking about your audiences, you're taking this pool of just this massive people and you're telling Facebook, hey, go in this direction based on these interests. And then your budget is the velocity. So the budget is your velocity, speed, whatever, physics. And then, oh, dude, you got me thinking. Well, I'm thinking about, the relationship between velocity and acceleration and position and damn it. All right.
Yeah, that's what I always love.
Really
Even seeing you on the.
I think about that stuff too much, but those are the four audiences anyway. Your class 0 audience, I own that, and then you have class A, which is platform. Class B is your related, and class C is your data driven. So in your marketing for the top of funnel, you usually want to use as many of those classes as possible, because you want to cast the widest net that you possibly can. Now you might, and of course, use your brain. If you're running like conversion ads or something like that, or like if you're running video view ads because you know you're going to remarket to have them opt in, well, exclude your email list because you already had, you don't need those people. If anything, use that email list as a seed for the lookalike. But here's also another thing I see a lot of people miss. They'll just do a lookalike and like, Facebook understands it. And like, yeah, cool. There are geometric patterns in this group, but you got to give it a starting point, give it a seed, give it a vector. So whenever you're doing a lookalike, I always in most cases, I also try to give it at least one or a couple of interests just to seed that direction. So it's like, all right, here's this lookalike audience. It's this giant school of fish. Okay, cool. Well, I want you to start at this point in this school of fish and move in this direction, as opposed to just, here's a group of fish. Good luck. Which is another reason why the value-based audiences are so important. If you can upload a list of emails, cool. But if you can upload a list of emails and there's a dollar sign attached to every one of them, now Facebook can find people with similar dollar signs, which it knows all of this. If you use a credit card and have a bank account or a cell phone, Facebook's data is connecting to Axioms and Datalogics and all that on the back end. So they can, you used to be able to use that data, you can't anymore.
Good old
And that's
days.
audiences. So again, strategically, it's got to make sense. What's your objective? Okay, cool. Well, what are the audiences we're going to use for it? And then, of course, the creative, which again, that can go all over the place. But those are two core things, Oak, and then there's only 4 audiences. So let's talk about advertising for sales, right? Because this whole time, that's what we've been talking about. No, at least, again, my belief is marketing generates the lead. So what do you do once you have a lead? What do you do once somebody has, gone to the product page but not added to their cart or whatnot? This is where you use advertising to enable what's going on. So for example, let's say I ran an ad to get people to opt into my ebook. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and sync all those people to a custom audience. And until they actually download their ebook, I'm going to run ads that say, hey, remember to get your thing that you said. There's a special, whatever on the other, special carrot on the other side. And then when they click to download it, your CRM knows this, and then it can pull them out of one audience and put them in the next one. Or you can get real sneaky with it. I did this with an e-commerce customer. I got this harebrained idea, and it managed to work. Because I thought about it. I'm like, if somebody's added a product to their cart or they've initiated checkout, but they've not purchased, and this is a customized product. It was the wristbands. There was a custom wristband designer. So somebody's put in the effort to make, so if they've added to the cart or they've initiated checkout, like something happened. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to run a post-engagement campaign to only that audience. Only people that added a cart or only people that initiate checkout. And I'm going to boost, because that's what a post engagement is, I'm going to boost an FAQ post that they have on there that they just made on their page. And here's frequently asked questions about that, because I'm thinking, okay, if somebody is right there, and they're not buying, they've got some questions. There's just something that isn't pushing them over the edge.
Mhm.
So we ran this campaign, and of course, it's a very small audience and it only reached a couple of people. But I'll be danged if it didn't get attribution for a sale. And of course, it only spent a couple of dollars, so the ROI was like 300 something percent, which of course is misleading. And gurus would be like, "Oh yeah, look at this, we have 300%." Yeah. But if you look at it, as far as an attribution standpoint, those couple of dollars we spent absolutely made sure that all the other ads that other person saw did its job as a whole. So syncing, so that's another thing too. If you have like a sales team, go ahead and sync all of your active sales leads to some audience, and then just boost educational content in front of them. Boost blog posts and videos, boost testimonials. Hey, is somebody in the contract sent stage? Okay, every time they go on social, let's have them see 5-star reviews from us until they either sign the contract or we mark the deal as lost. Here's the other thing. Most people aren't going to put 2 and 2 together. You think
Right.
most people are going to realize that, I'm seeing these testimonials because they've sent me a contract? No. You think that when the Marquee did a heavy metal show and then they started seeing ads for Club Red, that they put 2 and 2 together?
No way.
Not at all.
Yeah, I think some people think that because they're just so close to it. When you're on the inside, you're like, well, does this come off as creepy or whatever? But sometimes it is a little creepy,
I
but
mean,
it's
it's all about the relationship. I mean, at the end of the day, you're publishing a post onto your page, so guess what? It better be relevant. You better be on brand. And I mean, if you're pushing money into an ad, there's got to be some objective, even if the objective is just engage with this. Which actually, that's a pro tip. I will give you a super ground level pro tip to not waste your money. A 3-second video view is considered a post engagement. So if you run a post engagement campaign, but the creative is video, you're just paying for 3-second views, which is dumb. You're not going to get likes and comments and shares like you might expect. So if you do want to boost a video, you do want to use the video view objective. And then if you want to get likes and comments, use a post engagement with a static asset as opposed to the dynamic moving asset, visual.
okay.
And then we're going to come right back up into the sky. That was way too ground level, but I've seen that happen a lot where people just waste it. Oh, look at all these post engagements we got. There's no comments. What? Yeah, well, here's your 40,000 3-second views, man.
Right.
We market to them. They're super warm. Okay, so that's sales automation. Well, it is automation. It's advertising automation.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about like the
Marketing, sales, and I guess let's do some fulfillment. Let's talk the last part of the customer journey. So an easy low-hanging fruit, of course, is when somebody becomes a customer, put them into some custom audience and hey, welcome. We're good to see you. Welcome to the whatever family, whatnot. If you can run a sales campaign only to those existing customers to get more value. You can run messenger ad where the objective is messages, but only run it to the paying customers. It says, hey, we're here to help you out if you need support, and just kind of have it trolling in the background. Use the time bucket stuff out. So let's say that I sell a course and it's 30 days to complete. Cool. At day 60, you're going to start seeing a different set of ads. Either, hey, take this survey, tell us what you thought, give us a testimonial. In fact, go ahead and ask people to take a survey, and only if they were satisfied do you add them into the custom audience that says, leave a review, give us a testimonial, because they're happy. What else? Fulfillment. I mean, depending on your brand and how savage you want to be, if somebody has an open balance, sync that to a custom audience. Hey, sorry to interrupt your Facebook time, but just want to let you know you do have an open balance. Please click here to send us a message and let's get you taken care of.
I love that. I love that.
Or if somebody like unsubscribes, sync that list up and hey, sorry to see that you unsubscribed. Here's a blog post you might like instead. Um,
Hmm.
it's like Legos, man. Like, what can
Yeah.
you build with Legos? Well, what do you want to build? You know, that's why that again, that's why I say they're hobbyist advertisers when they're just like doing one thing. It's like, no, you're building the same pirate ship for everybody, dude. But like, this kid likes dinosaurs. Why are you building a pirate ship? Like, let's build you
Right.
a
Right.
dinosaur, kid. And that's really kind of the strategic magic there of like just how do you use ads to amplify the message that you're already giving, um, and making sure that it aligns with where they are on the customer journey. Uh,
So another question I hear a lot of, and I guess this goes back to audience, right? Uh, I'm thinking about two guys in particular that asked me about, the interest targeting on Facebook, right?
mhm.
How do you know when enough is enough and when too much is too much, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if we're talking about just a Class C data-driven audience by itself, uh, then you usually and they you it's recommended to have maybe 1 million or so people in that audience, and that may or may not be possible. Like, I'm working with a dude right now. We're targeting specific zip codes, and in the zip code for the demographics for the age range we're going for, there's only like 42,000 people. So like, that's all we got. So if we add an interest that they like cats, that might cut it down to 24,000, but that's okay because we know they want cats. The other thing to be aware of with interests uh, is knowing the I guess the difference between the slang interests and the authoritative interests. And I'm borrowing that language from Bond Halbert and then the copywriting, where there's certain points in the sales letter where you do want to use authoritative language and you want to talk about the Facebook conversion API coming in on the server side because of all this cookie changing policy stuff. And then you want to use slang terms like that privacy setting on your Apple phone. So the same kind of thing happens with your interests. So yeah, I can target people who like hip hop, right? And like that's going to target some kind of folks. But if you
Mhm.
target people who like Beanie Siegel, that's way more specific, right?
Right.
Or if even if you target Jay Z, like okay, cool. Like a lot of people have heard of Jay Z, but you target Beanie Siegel, that's like a real specific thing. Or like with skateboarding, it's like, hey, I targeted Tony Hawk. Okay, a lot of people know Tony Hawk, but if you
Right.
target Rodney Mullen, anybody knows Rodney Mullen, like hell yeah. So that's with those interests, and again, that's why I always recommend crossing multiple dimensions in your interest layering. So, and there's a couple of really cool interest that I'll pull off the shelf every once in a while. So I mentioned it earlier, but I'll specifically highlight it. There is an engaged shopper behavior. And this is people that have clicked on a shop now call to action specifically in the past 7 days for any advertiser.
Mm.
You click on a shop now button, you're in this audience for 7 days. Um, so that's a really cool, that usually cuts any audience in half. With my opinion is great that this other half weren't in a buying mood, but also test it. Sometimes you do want to include, exclude the people that are shoppers. Um, if you're going for B2B, there's actually a business page admin layer that you can target. So that's really helpful. There is a small business owner behavior. The quality though is you would want to cross it with something else. Like if you
Yeah.
just target small business owners, like it's the average small business owner, which I love them all, and they don't know a whole lot on average.
Right.
Most people
Yeah.
are really good at what they do and they don't really know a whole lot about business. Again, they don't study it academically like a nerd like I do, just because I find this stuff so interesting. Um, so engaged shoppers, you can target, obviously you can target based on relationship status as well as parental status. So sometimes that's very helpful. You can target based on certain life events. So like if they are away from their hometown, or if they just moved, or if they got a new job, or like birthdays. You used to even be able to target people. Their friends have a birthday coming up. So target people whose friends have a birthday coming up. Let's see. Those are some really cool, just really esoteric little things you can select. And then I've been a big fan of the suggestions option. So when you're typing in interest, if you've selected any interest, there's a little suggestions button, and that kind of gives you related interests, connected by the different edges and relationships. So if you put in cats and you hit suggestions, maybe catnip shows up, and cat litter, or Jackson Galaxy, whatever.
Right.
And so that's really, advertising really is an art and a science at this point. Scientifically, it's a hypothesis. We predict that if we want this objective, we predict if we show this audience is creative, we'll get this result out. And so when you're choosing your audiences, and in fact, sometimes that can be more important than the copy, because it doesn't matter how amazing this hamburger is. If I'm talking to a room of vegetarians, no one's buying it.
Right, exactly.
So conversely, if I'm in a room full of carnivores and I have just a really weak hamburger, someone will probably still buy it. So that's, yeah, the audience selection is actually the next thing you usually want to do after you figure out the objective. And usually the objective is pretty simple. All right, let's run a video view ad and spend $20 a day. Okay, who's our audience though? And that's where you really want to lean in.
Yeah.
And do a bunch of research and continue to test and iterate. And again, it's scientific. There's all the data in the world. Just really pay attention to the results and how many people you reached and what was the cost per result, because that's just the overall effectiveness. And then anything else is secondary to that. All right, we drove 30 leads and we reached 50,000 people and it cost $16.82 a lead. Okay, great. That's whatever conversion rate, that's our cost. But we can look at the engagement stats. Let's look at the actual click-through rates and stuff. Let's let's see, is there a time of day that people are particularly responding to? Is there any breakdown? Is there a big difference between genders? Sometimes you'll see that. Sometimes you'll see either men or female, men or women will respond way more and for cheaper than the other gender sometimes. And so every once in a while, sometime, again, the data is the data. So sometimes, we're not going to advertise the men anymore because clearly the women are cheaper, and as from a lead standpoint, the women are cheaper, and then also they're opting in at a higher rate, so might as well. If anything, write a second set of ads that is rewritten for a man, possibly. Because again, from an advertising and a scientific standpoint, men and women have different ways of thinking, different brains, different motivating factors.
That's true.
So we have to accept that. It's not discrimination. It's not like, it's like if I know that my target audience are like Bible Belt conservative Baptists, right? I know right away there's topics that I absolutely will not even broach. And then I also know right away there's things that I can talk about that I probably couldn't talk about to like the general population. I can probably throw in the power of God somewhere in there and not have my ad reported.
Sure.
That kind of stuff. So, and again, it's not any kind of a judgment, or now, obviously you could discriminate and you could use this kind of stuff for evil, but why? I guess. I guess that's where all the election fraud and stuff comes from. Oh, that's another one too. You can target people that are likely to engage with conservative content and likely to engage with liberal content. Mm-hmm. And then what you do is you just run two ad sets, one sort of one level, but you boost the same piece of content to both of them, and you're guaranteed to have a popcorn show in your comments, because both sides are going to see whatever they see, even if it's a neutral thing. The color green is a color, and then both sides are going to fight in the comments, and then everybody thinks your post is really popular. It's really easy to manipulate it's actually really easy to manipulate the media and the public with that. Another audience tactic is the geofencing. So that's a special type of data-driven audience where you build a digital fence around, and you can manipulate people there.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's definitely like a great power comes great responsibility kind of thing. Just like with automation, like if you're going to blast 1,000 people with an email, be responsible, make sure that it's good for the relationship, you actually care about it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, I think those, incorporating what you just said into strategies, has been really important to me because, working with, I worked with a local sushi restaurant owner, right? And I love the heck out of Cindy. I mean, she's the best ever. And she's an owner who makes the sushi herself. There's never been anybody else in there ever making sushi. And so I went in during COVID, and she took her mask off. And I mean, man, her eyes were welled up. She's crying. And I'm like, Cindy, what's up? And she's like, it's terribly down. Like, I don't know what to do. And so, we had a little talk, and I was like, I mean, Houston's a big city, right? I mean, last time I checked, over 15,000 restaurants in the metro area alone, right? So competition is steep, right? You got to be in front of people. And so I said, Cindy, I said, I know you don't have a lot of money to throw into, trying to get ahead of all these other restaurants that are franchise and have advertising budgets. I said, but let's try some geo targeting, right? Let me put an ad and a mile around each of your competitors in a certain area, right? And let's get them to try something different, right? Let's emphasize like the quality, your high standards, and let's, when you're doing your happy hour, let me come in and capture some video testimonials, just using my iPhone. So that when they see that ad, they're like, oh, snap, I go to church with him, or I went to school with him, and he says the sushi's a bomb. I got to go check it out, right? And so I see exactly what you're saying. Like when you said that story just immediately popped up in my head, and it was like a game changer.
That can be a game. And did that work well for her? Did it help her survive?
Oh yeah, she's still in business. She's still doing really well, and I love it.
That story, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool, Julio. All right. So we've covered the two fundamentals, really: oak, your objective audience, and your creative, and then the four audiences: your class 0 owned, your class A platform, your class B related, and your class C data driven. And then we talked about how you can use advertising in your marketing journeys, in your sales journeys, and in your fulfillment journeys. I feel like that's enough for people for right now. I feel like there's a lot of ideas for all the listeners here. Hopefully, if I did my job right, there's a lot of ideas.
Man, I've always, like I said in the beginning, man, I've always admired you because I see the technician in you too. Like, and I'm sure on some level we're similar because I don't like for anything or anyone to beat me. So I want to step up, and I don't care. I'll research. I'll watch the videos. I'll buy the audio book. I'll buy the physical book. I'll test the audiences. I was in Facebook and I was like, shoot, last quarter I burnt, about 2 G's testing stuff out. But hey,
you learned a lot. I'm sure you learned a lot.
Oh, I learned a whole lot. I learned, certain areas just they don't like me or they don't respond to what I'm doing. But other areas, I mean, it's like popcorn, man. All like pop, 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 they're coming. And so, I mean, you really brought a lot of insights to this episode, man. And, like you said earlier, I definitely want to have you back so that we can talk creative, because creative is really important too.
Yes, it is. And usually that's the only thing people think about when let's talk about ads. It's the creative. It's really like the last part of the thing. Like maybe you have some ideas on what kind of creative you want to use, but really, again, until you know your objective and your audience, you can't really make creative that's going to match with that. It has to, all three of those things have to work together. So yeah, let me go ahead and leave a note for myself to do a part 2 with you. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, love that, man.
would be great, man. And then I guess is this the standard call to action time now? Is this where we're
Yeah,
at?
yeah. This is the time to direct them to the resources that'll get them to where they want to go. And then
Cool.
maybe one day when they make a lot of money, they can give you a call.
Yeah. I mean, we are a boutique agency. It is just myself and Brina, so we're definitely not the cheapest by any means, but we're world class and we get stuff done really quickly, and we definitely know what we're talking about. So,
So do you ever
if
do any consulting? Like, I obviously need to step my game up. So, I mean, is it possible for me to pay you for some
oh
tips
yeah,
or to look over my
absolutely.
shoulder?
100%, absolutely. It's going to be an expensive rate. I mean, right now, the hourly rate's 200 an hour, and that's probably going to go up at the end of the year because I haven't changed that since 2016. Um,
Wow.
and so I probably should charge more at this point. Um, I didn't feel comfortable with that back in the day. Now, though, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I could probably charge a little more than that. But that's why I also like to do these podcasts and things because, like, I get that not everybody can work with us, and so I do want to give as much free info as I can. So all that being said, now that everybody is sufficiently scared away, I'm on Facebook. Feel free to like my page and follow me. It's facebook.com/under the hair. And then I'm on LinkedIn, just Paul Sokol. You'll see me standing there looking cool. And then the B Pro website, if you're interested in learning more about us, is bpro.events. Because we were an event company, and then we made this huge pivot at the end of 2019. We're focused on events. That's what we're doing. We're all in. And then 2020 happened. So
Yeah.
it was actually a blessing in disguise because we realized that was pigeonholing us too hard. Now we've pivoted to actually the vision is to make business kits, like literally like a Lego kit. It'll have binders and worksheets and for specific things that businesses need. And our first one is a premium people systems business kit where we actually work with you to build out your organizational structure and your interview process and your onboarding process and your hiring process. Making sure you have your legal documents like employee handbooks and that kind of stuff. Again, small businesses, they don't know what they don't know. And so I think that's it. I don't know. I'm awkward. It's great. That's why people love me. I own it. I
Yeah,
own it.
you're Paul, man. I mean, and you've been Paul since I met you. You haven't changed a bit, and
Oh,
so
good.
I love
Yeah.
that consistency. I mean, I've got buddies who are real true buttholes, but they've been that way since I've known them, and so
Yeah. Right.
I've grown to love them that way. So I appreciate you, man, chiseling time out and just empowering some of our audience, our tribe to Facebook better, to advertise better, to just have the tools that they need so that they can get that speed and direction.
Hmm.
Um, and so, man, again, I can't thank you enough, and I'm looking forward to our next one where you take us to school on get that Ivy League education on creative too.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about scroll stopping concepts and hypnotic writing tricks and all sorts of cool stuff. So
Yeah.
it'll be
All
good.
right, man.
Tune in, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.